The Minister of International Trade and Economic Development has responded after running afoul of conflict of interest rules. The Parliamentary Ethics Commissioner released a report on Mary Ng today. Mario Dion says there's no excuse for her behavior, and the CBC's Karina Roman is on this story. Karina, what did the Ethics Commissioner find?
Well, he found that she contravened the Conflict of Interest Act when she participated in a process that ended up awarding 2 contracts to a company owned by a friend. And this all began with a complaint from the Conservatives. At the time, the ethics critic was James Bazan, and he reached out to the Ethics Commissioner and said he knew about this contract in 2020. It was for less than just under $25,000 for media training. And the contract was with a company called Pomp and Circumstance. It's co-owned by Amanda Alvaro, who I should mention is also a paid contributor at CBC. Dion's investigation led to Mary Ng also disclosing that actually there was also an earlier contract in 2019 for much less money, under $6,000, also for media training. And so basically he looked at different sections of the Conflict of Interest Act and found that the 2 areas in which she ran afoul was that one is that you're prohibited as a public office holder from making a decision that puts you in the position of being in a conflict of interest. And also then the other part is that you're required to recuse yourself from certain situations, and this would be one of those. And so Dion says that Ng should have known better, that her reasoning, especially in 2020 contract, that, it was the pandemic, things were in a time crunch. She was looking for media training in terms of better communicating the COVID programs, especially for small businesses, which is under her portfolio. He says that's no excuse. And so he had this to say in a news release that went with his report today. He said, Minister Ng twice failed to recognize a potential conflict of interest involving a friend and oversight of her obligations under the Conflict of Interest Act. And then he goes on to say, there is simply no excuse for contracting with a friend's company. This includes the need to quickly obtain media training services to help Minister Ng respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in April 2020. And so obviously they're saying that is not enough of a reason to not abide by the act.
Karina, has Mary Ng responded herself?
She did in a statement right away, and then, of course, it became fodder in question period, and there was an exchange between the ethics critic for the Conservatives, Michael Barrett, and Ng herself. So why don't we have a listen to that exchange?
The Liberal International Trade Minister was caught red-handed and found guilty of breaking ethics laws by giving a sweetheart contract to her friend, the CBC pundit, Amanda Alvaro. Will the minister resign?
I want to thank the Commissioner for his important role in ensuring transparency and accountability in our institutions. And as the report indicates, I take full responsibility for my actions. I should have recused myself, and I apologize for not doing so. At no time was there any intention for anyone to benefit inappropriately. My efforts fell short of my own high personal standard for transparency and accountability, which Canadians have a right to expect from their elected officials. I'm sorry, and it won't happen again.
Basically, her response there in question period was most of her written statement that she put out earlier today. This is not a question of personal benefit to Ng, it's about benefit to a friend, which is also not allowed under the Act. In terms of the call for resignation, obviously she didn't respond to that. Michael Barrett also earlier in his talking to reporters, said there should be stiffer penalties for this kind of thing. And that really, it's only because the Conservatives drew attention to this that she got caught. And so, obviously they're not satisfied with what they would see as a lack of accountability for this error.
Okay, Karina Roman in Ottawa, thank you.
You're welcome.